All right, time now for our KSAT Q&A. We are joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. He's had a busy day. They're all busy for you, we know, but you gave your State of the City address earlier this morning. We're going to talk about a few things that you hit on during that. Thanks for being here. First of all,
great to be with you.
We're going to talk about something that we've asked about a few times, right? The Spurs potentially moving downtown. In the last week, there's been movement possibly on that, at least a key spot that's been eyed as a possible relocation. The Institute of Texan Cultures. We know that's going to be demolished. So the city has, right, the exclusive option to buy or lease that. Do we know when? Is there a timeline on that decision?
Sure. Well, thank you, Myra and Steve. Good to see you. So we know the ITC Institute is important, and it's going to be moving to a new site. We also know that the current building, which is in a pretty significant state of disrepair and hasn't been used in quite some time, is going to be torn down. The city does have a right of first refusal on that property because it's a really important part of our downtown landscape. And there's a lot of conversations going on with respect to the downtown redevelopment strategy, including where it sits, which is right on the doorstep of Hemisphere, which itself is going through a major redevelopment that has been voted on a few times by the voters. So the timeline for this is there's really not anything specific other than we expect a lot of this to unfold this year. So clarity on what will happen with that site, I expect to happen this year.
What would you say to people who have questions about this decision-making process to potentially relocate the Spurs, about whether it's going to be transparent or not?
Sure. Well, I can certainly attest to the fact that anything that happens with respect to major venues, sporting venues, convention centers, Alamo Domes, those are all very transparent processes. Any public funds that are expended to redevelop our community go through a significant public process. What I guess people are anxious about is the fact that the Spurs are a really important entity in San Antonio, a critical organization, one of the entities that we create our identity around internationally. And there's a lot of speculation because there's really no plans at the moment. What we do know is that the Frost Bank Center is, 25 or so years old, and they're reaching the end of the lease. So there's a tremendous amount of speculation of whether or not, in the midst of all this downtown redevelopment, that the Spurs, in fact, will be going to a new venue, and if that happens, if it will be downtown. Obviously, the city, myself included, have a significant interest in that conversation. If there is a new Spurs venue, we want it to be in the downtown area. And I can't think of a better place than in this general vicinity. So a lot of that is just speculation, though. There are no plans. Rest assured, as those plans come together, there will be plenty of public conversation.
It's safe to say conversations are still ongoing, though, about what happens there and the Spurs downtown.
That's right. And I have shared the details to the extent that we have them in terms of what's going to happen and the city's involvement, for instance, in the ITC site, helping the UTSA system figure out what to do and how to make sure that the ITC has a permanent place in our community, which it will have. So, a lot of it is still kind of in speculative conversation, but there's when things become more than that, certainly there will be lots of public conversation.
All right, let's go from the ITC to the MRC, the Migrant Resource Center on San Pedro. A lot of talk about federal funding ending, and maybe there'd have to be some cutbacks there. There's even some speculation that maybe Catholic Charities wouldn't be able to keep that center open at night. Where are we in the ongoing discussions with the Migrant Resource Center right now?
Sure. And I always have to start with this, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but the city of San Antonio, our local government, has no authority over who crosses our border under federal statute. And the folks that are brought to the MRC come to the MRC legally because they are in the process largely of seeking asylum. What we can do is protect public safety, maintain semblance of order in our community as this happens, and also uphold our values that we treat people with dignity. And we've been able to do that through the MRC. It has been reimbursed and funded by the federal government in partnership with the Department of Homeland Security. We did find out that in the budget negotiations, the bipartisan budget resolution, the continuing resolution to fund our government, that there's additional funds in there for local communities being impacted by migration. We don't know the rules around those funds yet and how they're going to be expended. We anticipate that it will provide some additional funds for us to continue operating the MRC because we have to deal with the impacts of migration. What we do know for sure, though, is that our current MRC continues to operate. We have existing federal funds that will keep us in operation roughly through September based on the current flows of migration over the southern border. So we're in okay shape right now, provided that the numbers stay relatively low, which they are right now. What I will tell you also, though, is that it's a little bit uncertain what's going to happen next. There's been speculation about what happens if the funding does not come through. Catholic Charities had made some statements a couple of weeks ago that they were running out of funds, so they would have to potentially shut down at night. We actually shared a portion of our federal reimbursements with them, our federal funds with them, so that they didn't have to do that, because it's important that we keep this facility operating if we want to minimize the impacts to the local communities. So fortunately for us, the MRC continues to operate, continues to do an excellent job. The folks that are working there, Catholic Charities workers, some city employees as well. And we are able to do, again, what I've said from the start, which is we're going to protect public safety. We're going to maintain order in this process, and we're going to continue to treat people with dignity.
So you gave your next to last state of the city today. And one of the things you talked about workforce development, you talked about attacking pockets of poverty in our community, but you also talked about the airport, and you talked about some of the developments that are obviously happening there, how important the airport is to any city. Are we looking at more direct flights? Is that something that you would like to see, more direct flights, so we don't have to always go? I mean, Dallas and Houston are fine cities, but we don't have to always go through them when we're heading someplace.
100%. Yes, we want more direct flights, and we actually have more direct flights coming. In fact, if folks look at the roster of direct flights we have and compare that to just a few years ago, we've increased significantly. There's great interest, obviously, in direct flights to Mexico. That's booming. We have our first direct transatlantic flight from San Antonio to Frankfurt starting next month. So San Antonio Airport, International Airport, is on a roll. We continue the redevelopment strategy. You're going to see the terminal being built later this year. We're also expanding with a new ground loading facility. So the amenities and the passenger experience while you're on the ground in San Antonio is going to be dramatically improved. We have millions of dollars of federal funds that are coming in through the FAA to build out this airport. So at long last, decades of waiting, we finally have our terminal development plan underway, and San Antonio Air Service is going to dramatically improve over the next several years.
Does that also include more direct domestic flights as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I just point out Mexico because obviously San Antonio, we are a gateway to Mexico, but there are a lot more domestic direct flights happening as well. And additional flights, nonstop flights to existing destinations, which creates competition that benefits the consumer. So you have better price competition, more availability for flights throughout the day. We want to expand that. One of the flights that is in high demand that we don't have, that actually takes congressional action to make happen, is a direct flight from San Antonio to Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. That's important for business, for travelers in general, but also for our military. And we're trying to make that happen. We think we have a window for congressional action to make that happen this year as well.
Yeah, the perimeter rule. There's a KSAT explains about that.
That's right. That's right. Great job on that, Myra. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mayor, so much for being here.
Have a great evening, all. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be right back.